Clear up any potential misconceptions, misunderstandings.
Morning. Morning. Feel free to take a seat when you're ready.
Just in the with the shadow on the tree. Well, there's no one there. What? Yeah, no, of course.
Just take your time over there. No, just take as long as you need.
Nothing important going on, it's all good. Hey, listen, you know, sorry? That's my mic.
Meryl, I was always brought up 10 o'clock, the door opened and you walked out onto the platform. Starting. They were in the days where you couldn't speak a word out of place. You could not. Oh, yeah. Everybody had to walk together. Oh, Jesus. I think I might actually get a cup of tea. Yeah, Kirsty, Bobby got a $100 voucher for Christmas, I understand.
Bobby looks like he's grown.
So I suggested to Bobby that he could take me shopping for a present for me. And he wasn't having a bar at that. Yeah. That's cold, huh?
Coffee's a lot more popular.
I made 2 pots last week, we only used one, so I got one this week.
Can't beat him, you're joining. Yeah, I'm just waiting for you guys to sit down. Yeah. Hey, man.
Good.
Yeah.
Who's watching?
No, I love this one.
You're watching
I don't mind it. When it gets over 30, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I'll play around outside. So once it gets close to 35, I'm done. That's right. Don't watch it. Yeah, I can't actually say that.
bringing churches together to collaborate. Projects, especially in the
Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to Jocelyn. Yeah, lovely to have you here. friend of Meryl's, you know. Meryl's got so many friends. It's great. So as we start today, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Today we do church on land that was stolen and never ceded. And our welcoming and affirming statement. HeartWell is a fully affirming community and fully committed to being a safe place for all people who are connected to this community, regardless of gender, sexuality, family background, economic situation, and regardless of how old you are, where you come from, what abilities you have, what languages you speak, what religion, spiritual path, tradition, and ethical conviction. Everyone is welcome here, and we want everyone to feel safe here. So I thought we'd just start with some music. So just to settle into the service and yeah. And you've actually heard this piece before, but the problem is I really like it. So it's from Joe Hisaishi, who's a Japanese composer, and he composed this music as part of a film called The Beautiful Dead, which is a really interesting movie. So let's just sit back and relax. And it's going to come and light our Christ candle after I turn the music off. It's proving difficult. Oh, well done. Thank you. So it's lovely to come to worship in January and to prepare worship. I think it's a time where you can just play around a bit. So I thought I'd play around today a bit. I tried to get a theme together and I ended up with a theme of hope. So I'm doing some different things today. I'm going to give you another perspective on the Gaza-Israel situation, look at some good news, and focus around love as well. But let me start with a blessing from Glenn Cardy. And it's the blessing, blessed are puddles. Blessed are puddles, the muddy broad ones on the road, ones that aren't too deep, the ones you can easily splosh in. Blessed is the rain that makes the puddles, cooling us, beckoning us outside to share in the deliciousness of deluge. Blessed are the gumboots, wonders that wrap our feet, helpful when there are stones under the muddy surface. God of puddles, delighting in the adventurousness, abandon of children and adults, bless us in the communion of splosh. So I'm just going to have a series of meditations this morning, and the first one is we're going to listen to a Radio National recording from two members of the Jewish Palestine organisation, and they've toured Australia recently under the banner of Standing Together. So it's an interesting interview, and then I'm just going to play a little bit of music at the end of that so we can just spend some time thinking through that and seeing what comes to us as we listen to this interview or this dialogue between these two people. So, Bo, you might like to get us going, please.
In Australia over the Israel-Gaza war. Just this week, there have been attacks on synagogues in Melbourne and Sydney. But despite the challenges, the efforts and dialogue go on. Members of a Jewish Palestinian organisation called Standing Together toured Australia recently. Two activists spoke to audiences about a future of peace and equality for all people in the region. ABC reporter Andy Yu went along to their event in Melbourne.
I've come to a music venue in the Melbourne suburb of St Kilda. It's a Thursday night and there's a few hundred people here. Tickets have sold out. But this isn't a music gig. People are here because life hasn't been the same since October 7 last year. They're about to listen to two people who are hopeful that peace in Israel and Gaza can be achieved. This event is sponsored by the Australian chapter of the New Israel Fund, a body that supports projects often in stark contrast to the policies of the Israeli government. Most people attending tonight are Jewish.
I'm Shahid. I'm a Palestinian Arab, a citizen of Israel. I was born and raised in Nazareth, the biggest Arabic city in Israel.
This is activist Shahad Bishara, who is also a doctor. She's a leader of Israel-based organisation Standing Together. Seated beside her is fellow activist Nadav Shofet.
I actually grew up in Modi'in, a city in Israel which is 100% Jewish. I really never had any meaningful interaction with Palestinian citizens of Israel, even though they are 20% of the citizens in Israel. Every once in a while I would go to a hospital and meet a doctor like Shahid, but not, any meaningful kind of connection.
To this crowd, many of whom are worried about social cohesion in Australia, let alone in the Middle East, seeing a Jew and a Palestinian side by side and agreeing on things is a hopeful picture in and of itself. But as Nadav and Shahid say repeatedly, standing together is not about hopeful dialogue, it's about action.
Hope is an action, which is different a bit than optimism, which is more impassible.
The group's motto is "Where there is struggle, there is hope." It describes itself as a progressive grassroots movement mobilising Jewish and Palestinian citizens of Israel for peace, equality and social justice. It calls on Israeli citizens to unite regardless of ethnicity, religion, gender or sexual orientation. Standing together describes the actions of the Israeli government as extremist. It demands a ceasefire and for Jewish hostages of Hamas to be released, but also...
It's not enough to end the war. It's not enough to end the war. We need to advance towards an Israeli-Palestinian peace agreement that will end the military occupation of millions of Palestinians, that will end the siege of Gaza, that will allow the Palestinian people to materialize their right to self-determination in an independent Palestinian state.
Shahid says politicians won't lead solutions to the conflict, so it's ordinary people who have to push them.
There's this quote for Martin Luther King that I really like that says, "The supreme task is to organize people so that their anger will become a transforming force." And this is actually what we're doing in Standing Together.
Through our work in organizing protests, joining the existing anti-government protests with these messaging, coming there with thousands of signs, doing national campaigns, billboards on bridges, on highways, using our social media. We have the strongest social media presence of organization in Israel, period. Hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, TikTok, mailing lists. We're using all the force of our organization, of our movement of people, like I said, 6,000 members, to call for hostage deal and ceasefire agreement. Today it is a majority opinion.
Questions from the audience show there's an appetite for something like Standing Together here in Melbourne.
I'm one of a few that have tried with a lot of failure to engage dialogue in the last 13 months. It's been exhausting and hasn't felt like it's made much progress. But our other options have felt really slim. Like when you say go out and act, my option is to go to a pro-Palestinian protest or a pro-Israeli protest or something. The options here, we don't have a Palestinian and Jewish collaboration as yet. I would love to form one. I don't have the energy or the muster myself, and I know a lot of other people want to. Would just be there, be a magnet in Melbourne towards a place we could transform our anger into our vision for peace. So how can you help us? Can you help us?
You can only help yourselves.
We barely help ourselves.
We barely help ourselves.
Gauging the mood after the event, some are feeling encouraged.
I think the most impressive thing was when they said, you don't talk, you do. We all want the suffering to stop, we all want the death to stop, we want the starvation to stop, we want Jews to stop dehumanizing Palestinians, and we want the left to stop dehumanizing Jews and Israelis. They're not such big issues, they're not so hard.
Others came away disappointed.
What I didn't like was the whole evening was set in a vacuum, and that vacuum didn't even mention the role of Hamas and the so-called leaders of the Palestinian people. And so that was a bit disappointing, and it just puts a bias on the whole evening.
Others were listening for solutions to problems war in the Middle East has led to here at home.
Organisations that I used to be involved in of Jews and Muslims coming together have disbanded in the last few months, largely because of not being able to talk to each other. So if this is an opportunity to create some level of hope or some level of understanding or some level of working together and a model that we can work for, then I'm all for it. Personally, I'm a bit sceptical in general about what their actions might achieve, but I love hearing about their attempts, and I'm hopeful that we can come to some peaceful resolution.
Everyone I spoke to had a different response to what they'd heard, but one thing they had in common was a willingness to listen.
And are you with that recognition? Getting in touch with ABCRN is easy. Join the conversation live using the ABC
and text features.
So a few years ago, a guy called Angus Hervey, who was born in South Africa, lived in the UK and now lives in Australia in Preston, started up a Fix the News program on the internet. So it's a daily series of good news stories that he circulates to people on his list. And he produced Fix the News highlights for 2024. So I'm going to show you those highlights and talk about a couple of things as we go through those. So, and they're under categories of health, conservation, living standards, energy and human rights. And these are his highlights, not mine. So some of them you're going to like, some of them you may not agree with. Yeah, I just thought today that I'd just share those to give you another perspective on the news. And he started this. He started doing this because he looked at what had been happening with the news that we all generally see over the last 10 or so years, and he's seen the negativity increase quite significantly. So he decided to do something positive about that. So this is his take on that. So the first one is health. So there's three in this. A game-changing HIV drug was the biggest story of 2024. Another incredible year for disease elimination. And the third one is weight loss drugs took on the obesity crisis and possibly more. But he talks about the HIV drug in this way. In what Science, the magazine, called the breakthrough of the year, researchers revealed in June that a twice-yearly drug called lenacapavir, I'm not sure if that's right, nurses, but, you know, just put up with me. Yep. Reduced HIV infections in a trial in Africa to 0, an astonishing 100% efficacy and the closest thing to a vaccine in 4 decades of research. So the next one's conservation. The EU passed a landmark nature restoration law. Deforestation in the Amazon's halved in 2 years, and some big wins for Amazon communities. And the two that I just wanted to mention, when countries pass environmental legislation, it's big news. When an entire continent of the EU mandates the protection of nature, it signals a profound shift. And the deforestation in the Amazon, Brazil's space agency INPE confirmed a second consecutive year of declining deforestation in the Brazilian Amazon. So the next one's around living standards. Millions more children got an education. We fed around a quarter of the world's kids at school. Global negative emotions fell for the first time in a decade. And so the one I highlighted was the millions more children got an education. Staggering statistics incoming. Between 2000 and 2023, the number of children and adolescents not attending school fell by nearly 40%. And Eastern and Southern Africa achieved gender parity in primary education, with 25 million more girls are enrolled in primary school today than in the early 2000s. Since 2015, an additional 110 million children have entered school worldwide, and 40 million more young people are completing secondary school. And there's a strong connection with Zambia there. And so again, it shows you that there are lots of good things happening in this space that we just don't hear about, and that's why the Zambia project's so important to us. And then the next one is conservation. I've already done that one. Energy, thank you. Thank you, sorry, Bo. So energy, the solar installation shattered all records. Battery storage transformed the economics of renewables. Coal exits proliferated worldwide. So under the solar installation shattered all records, global solar installations look set to reach an unprecedented 660 gigawatts in 2024, up 50% from the previous record in 2023. The pace of deployment has become almost unfathomable. In 2010, it took a month to install a gigawatt. By 2016, a week. And in 2024, 12 hours. So the next one, Bo. Human rights. Democracy proved remarkably resilient in a record year of elections. Global leaders committed to ending violence against children. The LGBTQ plus community notched up some big wins. So there's a couple here that I'll just talk about. The global leaders committed to ending violence against children. In early November, while the eyes of the world were on the US election, an event took place that may prove to be far more consequential for humanity. 5 countries pledged to end corporal punishment in all settings. 2 more pledged to end it in schools, and another 12, including Bangladesh and Nigeria, accepted recommendations earlier in the year to end corporal punishment of children in all settings. In total, in 2024, more than 100 countries made some kind of commitment to ending violence against children. And the LGBTQ plus community notched up some big wins. Thailand, home to over 70 million people, became the first country in Southeast Asia to legalise same-sex marriage, and Greece made history as the first Christian Orthodox majority country to do the same. Namibia and Dominica struck down colonial-era laws against same-sex relationships. South Korea ruled that gay couples are entitled to the same health insurance benefits as heterosexual couples. China recognised that a child can have two mothers for the first time. Israel ruled that LGBTQ couples can adopt, and in Japan, public support for gay marriage reached 70% following a series of high-profile court cases. And lastly, science and technology. Space exploration hit new milestones. Next generation materials advanced. Scientists took steps towards feeding the world, and it's this last one that I'll talk about. The genetically modified organisms panic may have ended in Africa, where Uganda and Ethiopia are joining a group of countries to approve CRISPR edited crops, and gene editing projects saw some incredible results, like sorghum that's resistant to a destructive parasite. So I thought we'd just spend a few minutes just sitting with that and seeing what comes to you. Now we're going to move into communion. I love this part of our service. I love communion. And I love that we do it each week. I love that connection with Jesus and the connection with his death because of the way he lived and the challenge that gives me. And because of his resurrection, it wasn't the end. It's the new life this offers you and me. When life is tough, when hope is struggling to break through, we have this beautiful connection which helps us to connect. No matter how we come this morning, as we eat the bread and drink the juice, see what you're drawn to in the silence and the connection with Jesus. Let's eat the bread and drink the juice together. I've really missed the noise as you pull the top off the... Yeah.
Sorry, it's just me being lazy for someone.
No, I think that's very acceptable. Yeah. So Sue's going to bring us a meditation. It's based around the poem or from Elia Delio. Is that how you pronounce it? Yep. Thank you. And it's called The Christic. So Sue's going to bring that, and then I'll play some music at the end of that. So Susan.
The Christic by Elia Delio. I am looking at a tree, but I see such astounding beauty and graciousness. The tree must be you, O God. I look at the wild weeds playing across the fields. Their wild, joyful freedom speaks to me of you, O God. Yesterday, I saw a child crying alone on a busy corner, and the tears were real, and I thought, you must be crying, O God. God, you are the mystery within every leaf and grain of sand, in every face, young and old. You are the light and beauty of every person. You are love itself. Will we ever learn our true meaning, our true identity? Will we ever really know what we humans are created for love? For it is love alone that moves the sun and stars and everything in between. We are trying too hard to find you, but you are already here. We are seeking life without you, but you are already within. Our heads are in the sand, our eyes are blinded by darkness, our minds are disoriented in a desperate search for meaning. But you are not what we think you are. You are mystery. You are here and you are not. You are me and you are not. You are now and you are not. You are what we will become. You are the in-between mystery, the infinite potential of infinite love. And it is not yet clear what you shall be, for we shall become something new together.
And Andy's going to come in and do a prayer with us. Thanks, Andy. The Prayer of God of the Womb by Cole Arthur Riley. It is not lost on us that you submitted to the body of a woman, trusting in it to protect you to grow. As we remember the 9 months you dwelt in the womb, the body of God being nurtured and carried, remind us that our own bodies are worthy of such care and tenderness. May this season be a sacred pause as we allow time to be near our own bodies, to protect and strengthen them. In a world that demands so much of us, remind us that Christ did not come to us in physical independence, allowing the world to take and use him without limitation. Show us the face of Christ, who was gravely dependent, who needed to be held, fed and washed, who needed to be soothed and rocked to sleep. If we are to honour the divine in us, may it be this divinity, fully embodied and fully dignified in the body. Amen. This last meditation is, it's caused me some grief because I've been accused of plagiarism, and that's by Andrew Bruce. He played an Eva Cassidy song a few weeks ago, and I was telling him last night I was doing the same, and he said, "You just follow me." But I can put up with that. So this is Eva Cassidy singing "I Can Only Be Me," and yeah, just sit and be with this. Well, thank you for being here. Next week, Janine's running the service, so we're looking forward to that, Janine. And let me close with a benediction or a blessing from Jan Richardson. How joy works. You could not stop it if you tried. How this blessing begins to sing every time it sees your face. How it turns itself in wonder merely at the mention of your name. It is simply how joy works, going out to you when you least expect, running up to meet you when you had not thought to ask. Amen. So you guys been away? Oh. Yeah, so we wandered into the city on Thursday to see the Japanese. No, we couldn't get in.
We didn't realise you needed to read. So we had to read this Thursday, so we had to go into.
So we went to their because we couldn't get in. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're an ACM, Yeah.